So students, we have topic combination of capacitors. We can combine several capacitors of capacitances C1, C2 up to Cn to obtain a system with some effective capacitance C. The effective capacitance depends on the way the individual capacitors are combined. Two simple possibilities are discussed below. One is a series combination of capacitors. You can see the series combination of capacitors is like this. Here both the points A and B are maintained at constant potential difference VAB. In series combination, the capacitor's right hand plate of first capacitor is connected to the left hand plate of next capacitor, and combination may be extended for any numbers of capacitors. In series combination of capacitor, all the capacitors would have same charge. You have to note down this. Now potential difference across individual capacitors are given by VAR is Q by C1 and VRB is Q by C2. So potential difference will be divide. So sum of VAR and VRB would be equal to the applied potential difference V. So we can say that V, which is the potential difference across AB, VAB, is equal to VAR plus VRB. Now you can put the value. This will be equal to Q 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2, or V upon Q is equal to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2, that is equal to Q by C. It means 1 upon C is equal to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2, such that resultant capacitance of series combination C is equal to Q by V is the ratio of charge to potential difference across the two capacitors connected in series. So we say that to find resultant capacitance of capacitors connected in series, we need to add reciprocals of their individual capacitances, and C is always less than the smallest individual capacitance. In the above equation, we find that 1 upon C is equal to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2 plus 1 upon C3 and so on, as many number of capacitors you have. The second type of combination is parallel combination of capacitors. Now this figure is the connection of capacitors in parallel. You have two capacitors having capacitance C1, C2 are connected between A and B points. Right hand side plate of capacitors would be at the same common potential VA, and to the other side of the plate would be at same common potential VB. Thus in this case potential difference VAB is VA minus VB would be same for both the capacitors, and charges Q1 and Q2 on both capacitors are not necessarily equal. So here we have Q1 is equal to C1V and Q2 is equal to C2V. Thus charge stored is divided amongst both the capacitors in direct proportion to their capacitances. Total charge on both the capacitors is Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 due to conservation of charge, that is equal to VC1 plus VC2, or we can say that Q upon V is equal to C1 plus C2. As we know that Q upon V is capital C, that is the equivalent capacitance of capacitor. So we'll get here C is equal to C1 plus C2, where when capacitors are connected in parallel, their resultant capacitance C is the sum of their individual capacitances. The value of equivalent capacitance of system is greater than the greatest individual one. If there are n number of capacitors connected in parallel, then their equivalent capacitors would be C is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3 and so on. The last topic of the chapter is energy stored in a capacitor. Work has to be done to transfer charges onto a conductor against the force of repulsion from the already existing charges on it. This work is stored as a potential energy of the electric field of the conductor. Now we are having the capacitors. Initially there are no charge, finally they are having charges q and minus q. Now in between, when the charges were small q and small minus q, then we have transferred some charge from minus q plate to plus q plate, or we are adding some charge dq to the small q. We'll calculate the work done in first case. Suppose a conductor of capacity C is at potential V0, and let Q0 be the net charge on the conductor at this instant. The potential of the conductor when charging the charge on it was Q, which is less than Q0, is V is proportional to Q, or V is equal to CQ, where C is the constant of proportionality that depends on the nature of the material of the conductor. This constant is known as capacitance. If we wish to transfer more charge, as we discussed the dq charge we want to transfer, we have to do some work. That work done is suppose dw, so then this dw is equal to v into dq. The v, as we know that this is q upon c, so it will become q upon c into dq. Now if you want to calculate the total charge, total work done in charging from 0 to q0 or capital Q, is now easy to calculate. We have to integrate from 0 to q0. You'll get w is equal to integration of dw from 0 to q0, that is equal to q upon c dq from 0 to q0, and that is equal to half q0 square by c. This work is stored as the potential energy, and we have the formula u is equal to half q0 square upon c. As we know that q0 is cv0, we can write this expression also in the form of half cv0 square or half q0 v0. In general, if a conductor of capacity C is charged to a potential V by giving it a charge q, then u is equal to half cv square, half q square by c, or half qv. This is a formula for potential energy. Now this energy can be written in the form of energy density also. This energy is localized on the charge of the plate but is distributed in the field. Since in case of parallel plate capacitor, the electric field is only between the plates, such that in a volume A into D only. So the energy density UE is equal to U upon volume. The formula C is equal to epsilon naught A by D. We can write it as UE is equal to half epsilon naught V by D whole square, or this is equal to half epsilon naught E square. So in the form of energy density, we can calculate the total energy of that capacitor. Thank you so much.